Chapter 23 is focusing on the diseases of the GI tract. Quite a few will play into this that we'll be looking at. So first, just starting off by looking at the defenses. With our GI tract, just kind of hitting the quick anatomy here of all the different parts that make up the GI tract. So there are 8 main segments that start with the mouth and lead into the throat, the esophagus down to the stomach, then the large and small intestines, completing the route at the rectum, and then finally the anus. But there are also a few accessory organs that include the salivary glands, the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas that'll all be included here with our GI tract. Whenever we look at the heavy loads of microorganisms, so of course a lot of the food we eat, like none of it is sterile, so our GI tract without a doubt has a large number of microorganisms that it encounters. So some of the multiple ways of defending against those is the thick mucus, or that layer of mucus that coats the entire surface. Lots of secretory IgA antibodies that get released, the peristalsis, or the movement of the cilia through the GI tract that keeps microbes moving, as well as getting caught up into that mucus. Our saliva has a few enzymes, so lysozyme, especially effective against those gram-positive in that cell wall, as well as lactoferrin that sucks up and stores iron to prevent bacteria from using it. In the stomach, extremely low pHs will help kill a lot of bacteria. Of course, some will survive that, but that low pH, it makes it pretty inhabitable for many microbes, as well as bile that's released by the gallbladder that has antimicrobial properties, and also the GALT, so that gut-associated lymph tissue that's part of our immune defense against those microbes. Also, the normal biota is very important to our GI tract, and there's a lot of research into the gut biota, and there's a gut-brain axis that's being studied. So you're going to be hearing more and more about the normal biota of the GI tract. So if we start first in the mouth and in the oral biome, so this is mainly dominated by bacterial species, but there are a few methane-producing archaea, some fungi, even some protists, and some more investigation into even a virome, in which some viruses are found there. But predominantly, we have a lot of normal biota made up of bacteria in our mouth. And then once we get into the gut, again, between the esophagus and the stomach, so about 20 or 200 different species. Again, this is a huge community of microbes that make up our normal biota. Most common of those being firmicutes. Then within the large intestines, again, you can see the huge number of microbes. So actually, whenever we count the number of microbes to bacteria or to human cells, we are contain 10 times more bacterial cells than human cells. So again, largely due to our gut microbiome. So again, many microbes per gram of contents in the large intestine, and that includes all the areas of microbes, bacteria, fungi, as well as some protists. And those accessory organs, though, that we mentioned, again, like the gallbladder and the liver, though, are considered to be free of a normal biota. So those accessory organs are not part of the gut biome. So looking at the functions of these huge numbers of microbes that make up our biota, mainly a protective function, so taking up space so that microbes can't attach, but also just teaching the immune system how to react properly to prevent autoimmune diseases. And then a lot of them actually are beneficial to digestion and providing nutrients. Of course, not quite as evident in humans, but if we think about cattle and their gut biome, that's actually how they digest cellulose that they couldn't digest without bacteria that break down the plant cell walls. It's not quite that extreme in humans, but we do have a lot of bacteria that without them, we wouldn't be able to digest or absorb as many nutrients, as well as some of them during their metabolism provide nutrients in addition to what's in our food. So again, this diverse gut microbiome is associated with health, and a lot of research going into looking at differences and potentially even treatments for some diseases that would include adding certain gut microbes as a way of treating a disease. And then just kind of looking ahead, again, a lot of diseases here. Predominantly, these are going to be bacterial diseases and helminths. So dividing this section into non-helminth and helminth diseases. But those that are not helminth primarily are caused by bacteria. There are a few viruses, so rotavirus and norovirus here, as well as hepatitis that we'll talk about as far as predominantly the liver. But again, the majority of these are caused by bacteria and protists. Again, mumps is a virus, and then some protozoa that are in here as well that can cause chronic diarrhea. But again, our majority will be focused on helminths and bacteria.